I am in Navarre Beach. It is absolutely one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. But here I am again, and looking out the windows of this beautiful house with Trisha James, who is a dear friend of all of ours.
Thank you.
And we just come out of Alabama, and I'm seeing the same haze in the air that I saw in Alabama. And so this is Trisha James, and we're going to talk about, first of all, the first question I'm going to ask you is, tell me about how you feel about what your life was like before the oil spill.
Well, before the oil spill, obviously this was going to be our retirement home, and still is as far as I know. Our life was going to be swimming in the beautiful Emerald Coast waters and fishing and eating the fish that came out of the water and enjoying the sunshine and the view. I mean, this is heaven. We've got white sands, heaven all over, on the coast of Florida, but we were very fortunate. We're on the island. That was our plan. But, it was going to be the rest of our life. This is it.
Swimming in the water?
Oh, absolutely. Snorkeling. Mm-hmm. I mean, before I was snorkeling all the time. Every opportunity I would watch to see what the waves were like, mm-hmm. And it was beautiful when there's no surf. I mean, I'm a shell collector. You can see them all over the place. So just enjoying the outside. I'm an outside person. Mm-hmm. So that was our life.
And there were a lot of good times. I hear from people.
Oh yeah. We had very good times. Partying and when my husband was home.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we would always enjoy sitting out on the deck and having our cocktail and just watching the sunset, mm-hmm. watching the pods of dolphins, the different pelicans. Counting them as they were going across the surf line. That was our life. I mean, and it is. I just don't spend as much time outside now, but I do when it's nice.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking here at first of all, and as we know, many people are very sick. And I'm looking at what has happened to you since the spill. And before the spill, tell me about your health and your activity level and what you could do.
That's a good point, the activity level, because it has really changed. I used to be very motivated. I'm a gardener, and I also refurbish antiques. So I had a high level because it kept me going. It kept me out of trouble. I had to do things that I wouldn't just sit around and be bored because my husband's not home. So, what was the question?
You had a good activity level.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yes.
This is just one thing that happens. Let me tell you, and this is just an observation that I'm going to tell you. Short-term memory. This girl did not have any short-term memory problems before this spill. And I'm telling you, they have short-term memory problems. And it's not their fault. They're not crazy, they're not delusional. She never had a memory problem in her life. And now she has short-term memory loss.
I do have some pre-existing conditions. I did get a virus in 2003, and I had developed vertigo. Mm-hmm. It was from a virus, and that then created anxiety. Those were the only two issues that I ever had. I did, had a lot of testing done, and so really, those were probably my immune systems that are deficient that caught on to me because when the spill came, that's what affected me first, and I noticed the difference in the very beginning. Those were the two things that really.
So you're saying that anything that you may have had prior that was treatable,
yes,
it has now been compounded
Right, it's almost untreatable.
Yeah.
To the point where I was like ready to go to the ER. And that was back in 2003. We're talking 2011 now. So, I mean, after 8 years, you know, okay, we'll give it the oil spill. 7 years. I had no problems with dealing and knowing this was going to be my day-to-day operation. That has since changed because now I mean, in the beginning, I was so afraid and so scared, and my vertigo I was sitting, and usually my vertigo is only when I'm standing or if I'm going downstairs. So now, just from sitting, and the floor's moving, you know, there's something wrong here, you know, and then the anxiety that came upon that because I couldn't breathe, and I never had breathing problems before. Never, ever.
And that's the chemical pneumonitis. That's the chemicals that affect the airways, that they're spraying, that's in that water, that's in the air.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah.
You can see the windows. It's like, it's obvious it's there.
You know, and usually living on the Gulf, and I know after living on the beach, you're always going to get some condensation on your windows, but even that has changed. From my observation, there's, you know, sticky stuff all over.
It's increased. It has increased. And usually I would clean, but, you know, right now, the power washer's broken. So, you know, but once that, I mean, I do try to keep the outside clean. But I have noticed a difference in even the deck furniture. You can see that it's got a black color to it. And we didn't have that before. Before it was like a yellow, maybe from pollen or brown. It's black now, which tells me there's oil. There's oil in that rain or that spray. There's something coming in.
Then, in August 2010, now the spill, as we know, or what we're told. What we're not being told, what people are not being told, is there were 2 other blowouts in that water prior to this spill.
Correct.
Prior to the Macondo well. And we also know for a fact, because I've done a lot of fact checking, that our oil regulating was a mess. There were no regulations, starting really in the 40s, but actually it compounded in 2002 under the Bush administration. They gave a wish list to all of the oil companies, and what they did was they pulled all of the stopgaps, $500,000 piece of equipment off a rig that would tell you immediately if it was going to go. But we know for a fact we had 2 other spills. Prior to this, we've done our fact checking on that. Now there's another spill out there.
Yes, there is.
Now they've blown up the levees, and the Mississippi River is now washing down.
Yes, it is, with the toxins.
And we know for a fact that in Time magazine there was an article by Jeffrey Pollen, and Jeffrey Pollen discussed the dead zones that we already had from runoff all along the Mississippi and into the Gulf, that we already had dead zones prior to the spill. Tell me about when that spill occurred. Where were you when you found out about it, and what it has done to you?
Well, I was at home, obviously, and I had heard it on the news, and I didn't really think much of it. Come to think of it, I thought, oh, it's just an oil spill, and it's not going to affect us. You know, it's going to stay in the Louisiana area. We're in Florida. We're in the Panhandle. But then, that was April 20th. But then, you start hearing reports of the oil starting to come to you know, closer to the shorelines, moving towards the Panhandle, and realizing, hey, we are going to have that oil. And we are going to have that correction. And we better take advantage of that beach before it hits. Of course, we didn't know what the consequences were going to be if we were exposed to the oil or the correxant. And unfortunately, we didn't realize too that it had already hit our beaches and we were exposed already. It was too late. And we didn't know what the symptoms were and how it would affect us. And obviously we found that out.
Initially, when they were started spraying the corexant, could you smell?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I have photos. I have photos where they would do it at night, and it scared the holy crap out of me because they had started in the past, and they went actually over the island just west of the house. And I have photos, they're dark, but you can see it. And they actually crossed over and then went into the Gulf, and they were at rooftop levels. And when they did that, I would scramble in the house because I didn't want to be sprayed, you know. But then after, and you know what, I still smell it. That's what scares me, is because I wake up in the morning and I can still smell that particular odor. And unless you've recognized it before, you won't know what that smells like.
I smelled it too. I smelled the smell that I got when my sniffer, because I've been out in this so much, from going to Apalachicola to Alabama and all over the place. But my sniffer, you know, is changed. But what I was getting when I was smelling the stuff down in Alabama was almost like a chemistry experiment in college where I made a mistake and it smelled like rotten eggs, like sulfur.
Yes.
And that's exactly what it smelled like to me.
Absolutely.
Almost like sulfuric acid.
And I still smell it.
And it can change. You know, smelling that stuff can also change your olfactory.
I don't smell salt anymore, and I haven't for over a year now. Before, I could smell the salt air when I wake up and go outside on the deck.
Could you taste anything in your mouth?
Metallic.
Heavy metals. I mean, I was talking to a woman in Alabama, and her mercury level was just off the charts.
Yeah.
You know, there was a lot of heavy metals and barium and, you know, aluminum and all kinds of stuff in the stuff they're spraying.
I still have that metallic every once in a while. I had it yesterday when I was downstairs in the garage. So it's still there.
And that's why I tell people to do oil pulling.
Yeah.
You know, you take a tablespoon of coconut oil first thing in the morning before you brush your teeth, put it in your mouth and just swish it. Put it all in your mouth and just swish it and push your cheeks in and your gums and everything. And then after 15 minutes, spit it out. That will really help protect you. Also, I tell people get a good colloidal silver spray. If you're going to be outdoors, you should spray into your nares, your nose, your nostrils.
Start doing that.
Spray in your mouth, back of your throat. You can gargle with it, spit it out if you don't want to swallow it. I'm not a big person on silver to ingest because I know what the long-term stuff is, but for inside the mucosa, I think it really, really helps people a lot. That's just these are little tips that I'm learning from the people.
When you do the coconut oil pulling, should you rinse your mouth afterwards? Should you worry about any residue oil that might be in your
Actually, yeah, you can brush your teeth.
Okay.
Yeah, and I tell people to stay away from your regular toothpaste.
Yes.
Because they have all kinds of bad chemicals in them.
Yes.
And so I say stick with Arm & Hammer.
Yeah, the baking soda.
The baking soda.
By the dawn's early light, by all I know is right, we're gonna reap what we have sown.